Joey Crawford has been retired for a decade. The legendary referee, known for his quick whistle, his confrontations with superstars, and his infamous injection of Tim Duncan, has largely stayed silent. But now, he's broken his silence. In a stunning interview, Crawford has turned his attention to LeBron James, and his criticisms are raising serious questions about the King's game. The things Crawford is saying about flopping, about complaining, about respect have the basketball world divided. This isn't just a referee with a grudge. This is an institution questioning a legend. The setting was a podcast hosted by former NBA players, the kind of show where guests feel comfortable letting their guard down. Joey Crawford, now 74 years old, had been invited to share stories from his 39-year career as an NBA official. He talked about the pressure of calling finals games, the art of managing egos, and the moments that defined his legacy. Then the host asked about LeBron James. "I'm going to be honest," Crawford began, his voice raspy but sharp. "LeBron is one of the greatest players ever. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's also one of the most difficult players I've ever had to officiate, and not for the reasons you might think." The host leaned in. He complains constantly. Every call that doesn't go his way, he's in your ear. And it's not just a word here or there, it's a campaign. He's trying to influence the next call, and the call after that, and the call after that. That's not basketball, that's manipulation. Crawford's criticism cut to the heart of a long-standing narrative about LeBron, that he receives preferential treatment from officials, that he gets away with more than other players. But Crawford's claim was the opposite, that LeBron's complaining actually makes officiating harder. "You can't give in to that," Crawford said. "You can't let a player dictate the game, but it's hard not to because he's relentless, he's always in your ear, and that affects the way you call the game, even if you don't realize it." Crawford also addressed the LeBron flop, a term that has followed the King for years. He sells contact. He's been doing it his whole career, and he's good at it, really good. He knows how to make incidental contact look like a foul. He knows how to exaggerate, and that's not basketball, that's acting. The host asked if Crawford thought LeBron was a cheater. "I'm not saying that," Crawford said carefully. "I'm saying he's smart. He's figured out how to use the rules to his advantage, but that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it fun to watch." Crawford's comments spread like wildfire. Subscribe to see how the NBA and LeBron's camp responded to the retired referee's explosive allegations.
Within hours of the podcast airing, the basketball world was in chaos. Social media exploded, former players weighed in, current stars were asked for their reactions. The debate about LeBron's relationship with officials and about Crawford's credibility had never been more intense. Charles Barkley was characteristically blunt. "Joey Crawford is a legend. He's one of the best referees ever, but he's also known for making it about himself. Remember when he ejected Tim Duncan for laughing on the bench? That was ridiculous. So take what he says with a grain of salt," Barkley said on TNT. Shaquille O'Neal offered a more measured take. "Every great player complains. Michael complained. Kobe complained. I complained. It's part of the game. You're trying to get an edge. You're trying to influence the officials. That's not cheating. That's competing," Shaq said. Kevin Durant, never one to avoid controversy, tweeted his support for LeBron. "Joey Crawford was a clown as a ref, and he's a clown now. LeBron is one of the greatest to ever play. His game doesn't need to be questioned by a guy who ejected Tim Duncan for laughing," Durant posted. Stephen Curry, when asked about Crawford's comments, was diplomatic. "I don't know Joey personally. I've only had a few games with him. But I know LeBron, and I know that he plays the game the right way. He competes, he wants to win, and sometimes that means getting in the ref's ears. Every great player does it. Every player has. That's not a LeBron thing. That's a competitor thing." But Crawford had his defenders too. Mark Jackson, the former NBA player and coach, agreed with the retired referee's assessment. "Joey is telling the truth," Jackson said on ESPN. "LeBron does complain more than most. He does sell contact. That's not a secret. It's just something people don't want to talk about because he's LeBron." The debate wasn't just about LeBron anymore. It was about the relationship between players and officials and whether the game has become too soft. The NBA world was divided, But the most important response, LeBron's, was still to come. Subscribe to see how the King answered Crawford's challenge. LeBron James has spent 23 years learning how to handle criticism. He's been called too young, too old, too passive, too dominant, too everything. But when Joey Crawford, a 39-year veteran official, a man who has refereed thousands of NBA games, questions your game, it's different. The next day, after a Lakers practice, LeBron was asked about Crawford's comments. His response was measured, but his eyes told a different story. "I don't have anything against Joey. He had a long career. He's a Hall of Fame referee, but I think he's misremembering some things." He paused, choosing his next words carefully. "I've never tried to manipulate officials. I've never tried to cheat. I've just tried to compete. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, you say things. Every player does. Every player has. That's not a LeBron thing. That's a competitor thing." When asked about the flopping accusation, LeBron pushed back. "I've been in this league for 23 years. I've taken more hard fouls than almost anyone in history. I've been hit, grabbed, pushed, and hacked, and I've gotten back up every time. If I sell contact sometimes, it's because I've earned the right. I've earned the call." LeBron also addressed the broader implications of Crawford's comments, that he's somehow different from other stars. "I've watched Michael complain. I've watched Kobe complain. I've watched Larry Bird complain. I've watched Magic complain. That's what great players do. They fight for every edge. They want every call. That's not a flaw. That's what makes them great." Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, less diplomatic. "Joey Crawford is irrelevant," Paul said in a phone interview. "He hasn't refereed a game in 10 years. Nobody cares what he thinks. LeBron is still playing. LeBron is still winning. And Joey is sitting on a couch talking about the past." LeBron had responded, but the debate was far from over. Subscribe to see how the rest of the league, in the fans, reacted to the King's defense.
While the media debated, fans took to social media to share their own experiences with LeBron and officiating. The takes range from passionate defenses to pointed criticisms. "LeBron is the most disrespected superstar in NBA history," one fan posted. "He gets hammered every time he drives to the basket, and the refs swallow their whistles. If he complains, it's because he has to." "Every great player complains," another added. "Jordan did it, Kobe did it, Bird did it. The difference is, we only notice it with LeBron because we're watching him more closely. It's confirmation bias." But others agreed with Crawford. LeBron does flop, he does sell contact, and it's embarrassing. He's 6'8", 250 pounds. He shouldn't need to flop, he should just dominate. "The complaining is exhausting," another added. "Every single call, every single play, he's always in the ref's ears. It's not a good look." The debate wasn't just about LeBron anymore. It was about how we view superstars and whether the rules should be applied to them differently. There's a reason LeBron gets more calls than other players. He's attacked the basket more than almost anyone in history. He's earned those calls. That's not favoritism, that's physics. "The issue isn't the number of calls," another countered. "It's the way he argues. It's the way he follows referees down the court. It's the way he tries to intimidate them. That's not acceptable, and it's not something other stars do as often." The fans were divided, and the debate showed no signs of ending. The fans had spoken, but the final chapter explores whether Crawford's criticisms will impact LeBron's legacy or whether they'll be forgotten like so many other controversies before. Joey Crawford raised serious questions about LeBron James's game. He accused the King of complaining too much, of selling contact, of trying to manipulate officials. The basketball world reacted. Fans chose sides. The debate raged. But in the end, nothing changed. LeBron is still playing. He's still dominating. He's still one of the greatest players in history. And Crawford's criticisms, however valid, will be forgotten just like every other controversy that has surrounded the King over 23 years. This is what happens when you're great. People look for flaws. People try to tear you down. But greatness endures, and LeBron's greatness is undeniable. Crawford, for his part, seemed unbothered by the backlash. "I said what I said," he told a reporter in a follow-up interview. "I stand by it. LeBron is a great player, but he complains too much. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Joey Crawford criticized LeBron James. He raised serious questions about his game. The basketball world reacted, but in the end, nothing changed. LeBron is still one of the greatest ever. Crawford is still a retired referee, and the debate about the relationship between players and officials will continue for generations. Is Joey Crawford right about LeBron, or is the former referee just bitter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines.